What is up YouTube, and welcome back to another 7 Nights Rebirth video, and today I'll be showing you guys how you can start farming Destroy Your Gaze from stages 11 to 15. Now, with every other boss, you're going to see that the jump from 10 to 11 is pretty insane. You can see the boss has 300k HP on 10, and then on 11 you'll see that it has pretty much double. So, a lot harder to kill. It's going to be the same for every single boss. And I'm going to show you guys my team that I use to farm 14 actually. I actually can't farm this on 15 with my team, which is pretty crazy. The other bosses I do farm on 15, but Destroy Your Gaze is like the one I don't really care too much about because the sets aren't that great for me. But I will show you guys the skill priority and the characters and even the builds you want to use on your team here. So this boss, pretty annoying. You need to bring Yui and Evan pretty much no matter what because you need to actually have the immunities. The stun immunity, of course, from Evan, and then the Yui immunity for the burn. Now, pretty much besides that, you're going to want to bring Rachel. Rachel is really good here because she has this debuff to actually make you take way less damage from the boss. And also you have the defense down and physical vulnerability, which is going to make you do way more damage. So extremely important to bring her. And then for the last slot, you want to bring Biscuit as with every other raid because she buffs your DPS's damage by a ton. Now for these characters builds, you're going to want to just put them on a full defensive setup. My Evan here is just on like random tank pieces because I only really use him for PvE. But block set is very good. Honestly, you can run him on like defense set like I have here, guardian set on full defense for a bigger shield because this character is never going to die anyways. He is unbelievably tanky. Now for Rachel, you want to run her on a full block set setup. You can see I have block rate on the set and also the main stats for the armor. And then you can run 1 attack percent weapon if you find that she's tanky enough to give you a little bit more damage from your burns. But you can just run her on a full tank setup and you'll be fine. Now for Yui, it's pretty much the same thing. You just run her on a full defensive setup. You can see I just have her on literally random gear. Similar to Evan, she's never going to really die, and that's because you can get these both at T12 eventually, and they just get so many defensive stats, so you just end up never dying. And then with Biscuit, surprise, surprise, you are abusing the block set once again on full defensive setup because, yeah, she is just going to be here to buff your DPS. Now, in terms of your investment in these characters, you don't really need anything besides T0 Rachel. The only character you need to really dupe on your supports, besides your rare characters obviously, is going to be Biscuit. You will want T2 eventually because it just gives you 20% AoE damage reduction, which is going to be very important as you start going to harder stages. You probably don't need this at stage 11, but once you start pushing like 14 and 15, you will need this for just every single raid. And for skill enhances, you really want the equipment enhancement one. This will just boost your damage by a lot. And a bonus is if you get the basic attack, which will reduce the damage that your team takes. I ended up having to max her because I got this, then this, then this. So that is what it is, but that is the support frontline setup. Now the DPS, you're going to want to run Shane for 11 to 15. If you're using Juppy, you can use it up to stage 10, but after that, it gets really hard to use her because the boss has just way too much health. You will want her skill enhancement on her one ability, I guess, and then her passive. And then for your build, you want Avenger set. Now the setup you want to go for really depends on if you have the gear to do it. So ideally you want 59% crit rate if you have her passive skill enhanced because you get 41% from the passive. So total it's 100% when you add it up, which is perfect for me actually. And then for weakness hit chance, you also want this at about 46%. And the reason why is because Biscuit is giving you a huge buff to damage to bosses, but also to weakness hit chance. So if you hit 46%, you're always going to be weakness hitting, which will make you do a lot more damage. For me personally, the reason why I probably can't farm 15 is because I don't have it. I'm running 2 crit damage, but I will switch it over to weakness hit chance. Right now it's pretty hard because I can't really do it without scuffing my crit rate. I probably have to replace this piece as well, but it also has weakness hit chance, so a little bit of tuning you can do, but if you can't do it, you can just run her on 59% crit rate like I do and just like full damage, and you'll be fine up to like 14, maybe 15 if you have really good gear. For her ring, I just have her on a random ring. Don't really worry about it too much. It's a tank ring, but honestly, I'm just doing it for the stats. And like I said, because I don't farm this too much, I don't have her on any of the good rings I have. If you look, for example, at my other rings that are really good, I have my Pascal ring on damage. I have, Yunny on damage. I have the 10% crit rate on Daisy. I have Espada on the 5-star, right? So all my good rings are taken, so Shane kind of is getting the leftovers, which is pretty unfortunate, but like I said, I don't farm this that much. For your pet, you want to run whatever can buff your physical damage. Another good option is going to be something like Ritual, if you have Ritual, because it gives you weakness hit chance as well, and a damage boost, which I will probably switch over to eventually because I have 3 copies randomly. I don't know how, but that is like the pet setup. Now, in terms of your skill priority, I'm actually repeat battling, so give me 1 second. So here we go. This is basically the skill priority you want to use. This is what I found the most success with. I don't really know what other people run, but I kind of just put in what I think was the most important first. So basically, you want to make sure you have this damage reduction on the boss at all times. Otherwise, you just take way too much damage. Then I have the defense down, so my entire team's doing more damage. Then at 3, I have Biscuit's buff, so my Shane just does absolutely insane damage, and then we have Shane go into the boss. After that, we have Yui's heal, and then Evan's shield. You could probably switch these around. You might be thinking, why don't I put up this physical damage buff before I go in with Shane? The thing is, if I do that, I delay my first Shane skill by too much, so I actually end up losing damage in the long run. So I actually run this setup. Now you can switch it around a bit, but this is what I found successful, like I said. And I'll just show you guys the battle now. So here we are loading in. I'm going to only do 1. But basically you can see my Rachel starts by putting the debuffs, which will make me do a lot less damage. And also by stacking debuffs, Shane actually does more damage. You're going to see after the skill animation where she puts more debuffs with defense down. Her Demon Slaying ability, her nuke, does more damage with more debuffs you have. And at T6, actually, you're going to do even more. So, I believe this is from the T2. I might be wrong, but yeah, I think it's from the T2. But regardless, you want to put the debuffs up anyways, because you need to stay alive, obviously. And also, you want the defense down on the boss to do more damage. But here you'll see my Yui will then put up the heal, which will make the next ability from Shane do extra damage. And the fight doesn't really get scary at all until you get about to like 30%, I'd say, when the boss starts getting more stacks, because then he starts doing a ton of damage. So my Rachel should go here before my Shane. And then Shane is going to go in with her damage ability. So you can kind of see pretty much tank and spank. Nothing too crazy happening because unlike the other raid bosses, you don't need to prio as many skills. And honestly, that's mostly because Shane only has 1 skill. But here, this is like the perfect timing that I found, because Evan puts up the shield here right before we get into the harder stage of the fight, which can really do a lot of damage to you, right? So here we go, we'll have Biscuit buff again, and then we'll have Rachel debuff, and then my Shane should go after. I think maybe my Rachel might go, yeah, my Rachel will go again actually to put up the defense down, because you can see it's going to run out. So the boss goes again, Rachel will reapply the defense down right as it falls off. And then my Shane will go into the boss and do a lot of damage. So I think with 1 more skill, we should be able to kill. And unfortunately, I cannot farm this on 15 because unless I get really lucky with weakness hits, which is like a 50-50 on my build, I actually can't kill the boss because I do need an extra skill after. And this is the point where you can see my team is getting really low. So this is like the point of the fight where I end up using a random skill, which is pretty funny. But you can see on a 15 I'm pretty much dead here, so it's very unfortunate. Even with the T7 Shane, which is crazy, right? So that is pretty much it though for the Destroyer Gaze run. Like I said, doing that skill prio will be good enough. I will be able to do it on 15 eventually, but it's not really a huge priority for me because honestly, this raid's sets are like the worst by a decent amount. And Ox King and Iron Devourer are just way better to farm. I literally only farm this during the daily like double rewards that you get for 3 runs. But Ox King and Iron Devourer, I'm like pretty much always farming. So, but yeah, thank you for watching, guys. Make sure you guys hit that like and subscribe to help me out, and I will see you guys next video.